WPIAL Podcast, Trib Live High School Sports Network. Here to prepare you for Week 6. We're talking October football coming up on Friday. No action on Saturday. No City League games, no nothing. And then a couple of games on Saturday. So it'll be a busy Friday night. And it looks like I got one of these fancy phones here. Okay, fancy. And my fancy phone tells me that the weather should be once again marvelous on Friday. Man, have we been fortunate. That sometimes the hidden vigorish, as the old gunner used to say, Bob Prince, means we might get lit up come playoff time. But regular season, and to be honest, really, if you think about it, in recent years, the past decade or so, the crowds in the regular season seem to be a lot stronger than come playoff time, and I think the weather has something to do with that. Not a lot of people want to sit out on some nasty Friday nights. But nonetheless, whoever is hosting this Friday, hopefully big crowds coming out to support their local high school teams. Big discussion really over the last couple of weeks has been what to do with teams that really aren't able to be competitive. I think it's a different story depending on where you are. If you're a small school that's fighting for numbers roster-wise, and you get to the point, there's going to be attrition. You get to the point where you can't even field a team. So you're either postponing games or, let's be real here, forfeiting games. None of these games that have been postponed are going to be made up. I think the strong decision needs to be made, and I think co-op is one of those options. Instead of just folding the program for good, like we have seen occasionally over the last 25, 30, 35 years, work with another school that is also having issues roster-wise. Unite. A great story is Western Beaver, the success they're having, undefeated coming into Week 6. It's a co-op between Western Beaver and Lincoln Park, and it has worked wonderfully. Quaker Valley, when they won that championship, what was it, about 8 years ago? Co-op with Cornell, which had shut down its football program. Everybody wants their own identity. I get that, but at the same time, unable to play games or fielding non-competitive teams is not the answer. That's not an identity you want to be known for. As far as the bigger schools are concerned, that's a different animal, I think. Co-op's not going to help there. You don't, with these big schools, you don't want to fold programs. We had Albert Gallatin on as our team of the week this past week. Drew Dindle he was part of making the tough decision to leave the WPIAL. They were one of the first teams to do that, go play an independent schedule. Hoping to turn the program around. They're undefeated at 6-0. Whether they're back in the WPIAL for next season remains to be seen, but that's the whole idea. Anybody that has left Connellsville, Uniontown, Bronzeville, when they've left the WPIAL, the whole idea was, Butler's another one, let's get it fixed so we can come back and be competitive in the district. I think that's an avenue you have to look at. But just 2 cents from a man who only has a couple of cents. All right, let's get you ready for Week 6 of the WPIAL football season. We'll start in Class 6A. The big showdown for first place goes to Central Catholic. Very competitive game. Vikings win at North Allegheny last week, 21-6. So barring a major upset, it looks like Central Catholic will once again win the 6A regular season title. North Allegheny, they will try to bounce back at home again as they take on Mount Lebanon. The Blue Devils trying to win for a second straight time. Their first victory was last week. They sit at 1-2. That's a recurring theme. North Allegheny Outside of Central Catholic at 3-0, North Allegheny, the only 6A team that at this point has two 6A victories. They are 2-1, 5-1. Great game in Westmoreland County. These two teams or programs have struggled. This has been more of a game of pride in recent years, but this has a lot of meaning. 1-2 Hempfield against 1-1 Norwin. Both teams have won 4 of their 6 games. The winner of this one, you get to 2 wins. Things are looking good. You get to 3 wins, and you're probably playoff bound in Class 6A. Cannon McMillan, another team looking to get to 2 wins in 6A. They're 1-1 currently. They are home to Seneca Valley. Cannon Mac, a tough loss last week to Hempfield. The Raiders, an even tougher loss at home to Mount Lebanon. They are winless 0-2, 2-4. Central Catholic, fresh off their victory over North Allegheny a week ago. They have a non-conference game as they visit 1-5 Shaler. Tough task for the Titans, and we'll leave it at that. All right, Class 5A, we finally got to the Allegheny 6 conference openers. 5 strong teams. Remember, last year, 5 of the 6 teams made it to the WPIAL 5A playoffs. You had the conference champion, and then the teams that finished 2 through 5 all qualified. Could be the same situation again this year. Great opening matchups outside of Baldwin. Everyone knows the Highlanders' struggles. They continued in losing to South Fayette, but the other 2 games, marvelous. Battle of the undefeated. Peters Township defeats Upper St. Clair 24-20. So the Indians in good shape as far as a section championship is concerned. Remember, last year when those 2 teams played in the regular season, it was USC picking up the W. And a good game between Moon and Bethel Park, and host Moon prevailing in that game 23-20. So we're going to see a lot of good competitive games in this conference. The lineup for Friday, Peters Township, undefeated, will be home to Moon. Both teams winning their conference openers last week, as did South Fayette. The Lions make the short trek to Upper St. Clair to take on the Panthers, who are in bounce-back mode. And Bethel Park, looking to bounce back. They are home to Baldwin. Big East Conference, big matchup in Armstrong County. The Riverhawks hosting the Woodland Hills Wolverines. Woodland Hills a perfect 2-0 in the conference, 4-2 overall. Armstrong has won both of their conference games, so they're at 2-0, 3-3 overall. First place in the Big East Conference at stake in that one. Gateway, off their first conference loss, they're at 2-1. They visit Penn Trafford. Warriors are 1-1 in the Big East, but they're 5-1 overall. That lone loss coming to Woodland Hills a couple weeks ago. And a pair of 1-2 teams in the conference meet when Kiski area is home to Latrobe. 2 games in 5A's Northeast Conference. Top ranked Pine Richland in the Trib HSSN rankings in 5A. 5-1. They're 3-0 atop the Northeast Conference. They visit 2-0 Penn Hill. So it's a battle for first place between the Rams and the Indians at Penn Hills on Friday. And North Hills visits Plum. The Indians have only won 1 game, but they're 1-1 in the NEC. Plum at 0-2 and 2-4. The lone 5A non-conference game, 2-4. Fox Chapel visits winless Franklin Regional. Class 4A also beginning conference play. All 3 conferences in 4A kicking off conference play last week. 2 teams with victories in the Big 6 Conference clash in Washington County on Friday. The 1-0 Thomas Jefferson Jaguars visiting the 1-0 Trinity Hillers. TJ 5-1 overall. Trinity is 2-4. The other 1-0 team is Chartiers Valley, winners of 5 of their 6 this year. Colts at home to take on Bell Vernon. They have other big home games coming up, including one with TJ down the road. But they can't look past the Leopards. They're 0-1, 1-4, struggling, but they've competed in just about every game. Ringgold hosts Laurel Highlands, both teams looking for their first conference victory. Parkway Conference, Newcastle, fresh off the upset of Aliquippa last week, home again. This time they will take on Lucero's Montour Spartans. Both teams 1-0 in the Parkway. Spartans 4-2 in the season. Red Hurricanes 5-1. Both are young teams as well. West Allegheny crushing Ambridge last week will be home to Aliquippa. The Quips 0-1, 3-2. Marquise Council did not play in that loss to Newcastle, status unknown for the game at West Allegheny. Speaking of Ambridge, they will visit Blackhawk, both teams looking for their first conference victory. Greater Allegheny Conference, McKeesport visits West Mifflin. Indiana is at Hampton, and Mars is home to Knox. So those three teams, McKeesport, Indiana, and Mars, all winning their conference game, all looking to go, or conference opener last week, all looking to go to 2-0 with wins on Friday. All right, 3A's Western Hills Conference. Perfect Avonworth. They had that 4-week gauntlet of games against some of the best in the district. A little reprieve. I don't want to disrespect Quaker Valley because they're having themselves a pretty good season, but it's 2-0, 6-0 Avonworth, home to 0-2, 3-3 Quaker Valley. Good one at J.C. Stone Field in North Park, where North Catholic will host Central Valley. The Warriors are 2-1 in the Western Hills Conference. North Catholic 2-0, but coming off their first loss last week in a battle of unbeatens to Imani Christian. That was a non-conference game. McGuffey, looking for their first win of the season, visits 1-2 Hopewell. 3A's Allegheny 7 Conference. Freeport and Imani Christian remain undefeated in the conference, undefeated overall. The Yellow Jackets are 3-0, 6-0. They are home to Highlands, the Golden Rams sitting at 2-1 in conference play. Imani Christian 2-0, 6-0. The Saints home to East Allegheny. Cats are 1-2, and 1-1 Burrell hosting winless Valley. Interstate Conference, the final conference to get underway last week, finally in conference play. And the winners were Elizabeth Forward, Southmoreland, and Mount Pleasant. All three teams can go to 2-0 with wins on Friday. EF is hosting Derry. Southmoreland, undefeated Southmoreland, is at York, and Greensburg Salem comes to visit Mount Pleasant. 3A non-conference, Deer Lakes at 1-5 will be visiting 3-3 Beaver. 2A non-conference, Charleroi at 2-5, visiting 0-6 Ligonier Valley. To 2A we go. Midwestern Athletic Conference all alone in first place. The Golden Beavers of Western Beaver, 6-0 in the season, 3-0 in the MAC. They are on the road at Elwood City. Wolverines losing their first conference game last week. They are 2-1. Also 2-1 is Riverside. Panthers hosting 1-2 Freedom. Union looking for their first win of the season. The Scotties are at Beaver Falls. It wasn't long ago the Tigers were also looking for their first win of the season. They've now won 2 in a row. They are 1-2 in the conference, 2-4 overall. In the Allegheny Conference of Class 2A, Steel Valley visits Apollo Ridge. Both teams are 2-0 in conference play. Our Lady of the Sacred Heart is at South Park. Eagles won their first 3, have lost 3 in a row, and that includes their first 2 conference games. Our Lady of the Sacred Heart, the Chargers are 1-2 in the Allegheny Conference. Saturday afternoon, homecoming for Shadyside Academy. The 1-2 Bulldogs will host undefeated South Allegheny. Century Conference, battle for first place at Wash High. The Little Prexies at 2-0, 5-1 will be hosting the 3-0 Keystone Oaks Golden Eagles, who had lost their first 3 games and have now won 3 straight. Also at 3-0 is Seton LaSalle. Rebels in McKees Rocks to visit winless Stowe Rocks. And a pair of 0-2 teams in conference play. Waynesburg Central visits Carleton. Let's go to Class A now. Black Hills Conference front-running Fort Cherry at 3-0, 6-0 for the season. They visit Cornell. The Raiders are 2-1 and 4-2. Bishop Canevin also perfect in conference play. They are 2-0, 4-2 at Dormont Stadium, a rare Friday night game for the Crusaders as they welcome in 0-2 Sarah Catholic. And Chartiers Houston visits Monessen. Both teams looking for their second conference victory. Greyhounds are 1-1. The Buccaneers are 1-2. Big Seven Conference, Northgate visits Southside. The Rams are perfect at 2-0 in conference play. Also 2-0 is Laurel. They are hosting Summit Academy on Friday night. The Knights are 1-1, picked up their first win last week over Rochester. And 1-2, Shenango will take on winless Rochester on Friday night. Eastern Conference of Class A. No word yet. As of now, on Wednesday, game still on. Clairton at 3-0, hosting 0-2, 0-4 Springdale. Fraser visits Leechburg. Commodores a big win. Their first conference victory last week at 1-2. Tough to make it 2-2. They're playing a surging Leechburg team that has won 4 of their 5 games, and they are 2-0 in Eastern Conference play. Battle of 1-2 teams at McKee Stadium. Jeanette hosting Greensburg Central Catholic. Both teams not only 1-2, but also 3-3 overall. And at Brentwood High School, the 1-2 Spartans will host the 2-1 Riverview Raiders. That's right, Riverview, 4-2 on the season. Tri-County South, undefeated Jefferson Morgan will host Beth Center. California, 3-0 in conference play. They are on the road at Carmichael's. Mapletown visits Avella. The Eagles, with a win, go to 3-1 in the TCS. And Bentworth, same situation. Bearcats win, they're 3-1. They are home to 1-2 West Green. Burgettstown is at Neshannock, far south against far north in a Class A non-conference game. Lancers are 4-1. Blue Devils are 1-4. City League, both games are on Friday. Alderdice taking on University Prep. Big game. Both these teams likely playoff bound. Alderdice losing to Westinghouse last week. They're 2-1. University Prep's 3-0. Wildcats have Westinghouse, likely for the City League Championship next week. The other game is Perry against Brashear. Something's got to give. And in all likelihood, the winner of this game is going, the winner of this game is going to the City League playoffs. Perry 0-3, 0-6. Brashear 0-4, 0-6. Last chance for the Bulls in District 8. The other games, independent teams, non-conference City League. Westinghouse heads to District 9 to take on Karnes City. The Gremlins are 4-2. Bulldogs are perfect 6-0. Connellsville, speaking of District 9, welcomes DuBois into Fayette County. Falcons are 1-5. Butler hosting University of West Virginia. The Hawks are 4-1. The Golden Tornado having a successful campaign at 4-2. Perfect is Albert Gallatin, 6-0. They, for the second straight week, are heading to Maryland. They will take on Clear Springs. The Blazers are 1-3 this season. Bronzeville at 0-4 on Saturday at Couple Stadium will take on Carrick. The Raiders are 1-4. And Uniontown at 2-4 on Saturday will be hosting Ironton, Ohio. The Fighting Tigers are 5-1. There you have it. Slate of games, 3 games Saturday. Everything else is on Friday, not only in District 7, but in District 8 and amongst the independent teams. That's a hot button topic over the last few weeks, and probably will be until realignment is officially announced and we know what the plans are for some of the schools, whether they're going to accept the WPIAL schedule, maybe come back to the WPIAL, or for some leaving the WPIAL for football only to play an independent schedule. Again, those decisions probably won't be made until late 2025, if not early 2026. We're excited. Here's our lineup of in-house games. We're going to have, if you go to our website on Friday night, I think it's over 30 games now to choose from. But as far as our in-house games are concerned, we will have Seneca Valley visiting Cannon McMillan. Our AHN game of the week, Armstrong hosting Woodland Hills. We will also have our Edgar Snyder and Associates game of the week, Bell Vernon against Chartiers Valley. North Hills will be taking on Plum. Our Moon Honda game of the week is Aliquippa at West Allegheny. And Riverview visiting Brentwood also can be seen here on the network. Thanks to Chris Lackner, our producer of the Rebel Yell podcasts. Our little secret. By the way, we're now on Spotify, just if you didn't know that kind of thing. I'm Don Rebel. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you Friday night here on the Trib Live High School Sports Network.